The first blow to Owen Mallory's life came on an ordinary Tuesday morning. Rain pelted the windows of his craftsman home in the affluent Lake Washington neighborhood. The Seattle sky hung low and gray, mirroring the darkness that would soon envelop his world. Owen stood at the kitchen island, brown paper bag in hand, meticulously preparing his son's lunch: organic peanut butter on whole grain, sliced apples, and a handwritten note with a simple smiley face. "You're going to be late again," Victoria said, not looking up from her phone. Her voice carried that particular chill he'd grown accustomed to over the past few months. "I've got time," Owen replied, folding the bag's top with practiced precision. He glanced at his wife, her polished appearance already perfect for her 9 a.m. client meeting. Victoria Mallory, crisis management specialist, never had a hair out of place. 6-year-old Caleb bounded into the kitchen, his Spider-Man backpack dragging behind him. "Dad, can we go to Lakeview Park after school, please?" Owen smiled, ruffling his son's hair. "Sure, buddy. We'll feed the ducks." Victoria's head snapped up. "Owen, don't forget I'm meeting with Senator Wilson's team tonight. Won't be home until late." Her third late meeting this week. As he drove Caleb to Westlake Elementary, Owen's mind drifted to his afternoon appointments. 3 children struggling with parental separation anxiety. The irony wasn't lost on him. After 15 years as a social worker in Seattle's toughest neighborhoods, he'd transitioned to private practice as a child psychologist. He understood trauma, betrayal, and the human capacity for deception. He just never imagined he'd be living it. The park visit with Caleb that afternoon started like any other, a routine they'd established over recent months. "Dad, look," Caleb pointed across the playground. "It's Miss Lena. Can we say hi?" Owen spotted her immediately. Lena Rodriguez, the soft-spoken single mother they'd encountered at the same park several times. She sat on a bench, struggling to calm her crying toddler. "Hey, Lena!" Owen called, approaching cautiously. "Everything okay?" She looked up, eyes rimmed red. "Oh, Owen," she wiped a tear. "Just a rough day. Eviction notice, babysitter quit, and now Mia won't stop crying." Owen sat beside her, keeping a respectful distance. "Anything I can do to help?" Lena shook her head. "You're sweet, but I'm just drowning here." As the children played nearby, Lena shared more details of her struggles: single motherhood, financial hardship, and the graphic design job that barely covered rent. Owen listened attentively, offering occasional advice from his social work background. "You know," she said, voice dropping to a near whisper, "it means so much having someone just listen. My ex never did that." Their conversation continued until sunset painted the sky in hues of orange and pink. Owen checked his watch. "We should head home." As they prepared to leave, Lena touched his arm lightly. "Would you mind if I texted you sometime, just when things get overwhelming? You give great advice." Owen hesitated for a fraction of a second. "Of course," he replied, sharing his number. "That's what friends are for." Later that night, as Caleb slept soundly upstairs, Owen sat in his home office reviewing case notes. The house remained silent and empty, Victoria still at her meeting. The text from Lena came shortly after 10. "Thank you for today. You're a lifeline in a drowning world." Owen stared at the message, a strange unease settling in his stomach. He responded with a simple, friendly reply, then set his phone aside. What he didn't see was the woman hidden across the street in a parked car, telephoto lens aimed directly at his office window, capturing every expression, every keystroke. 3 weeks later, the dam broke. Owen awoke to an empty bed. Victoria's side hadn't been slept in. Concerned, he checked his phone. No messages. He went downstairs to find a suited man standing in his living room, an envelope in hand. "Owen Mallory?" the man asked. "Yes, you've been served." The process server thrust the envelope into Owen's hands and departed swiftly. With trembling fingers, Owen tore open the envelope. Inside, divorce papers, a temporary restraining order, and a motion for emergency custody hearing citing emotional endangerment and infidelity. The blood drained from his face as he read Victoria's sworn statement. "My husband has been engaged in an inappropriate emotional relationship with Lena Rodriguez, a woman he met at our son's playground. I have evidence of multiple rendezvous, intimate text messages, and concerning behavior that indicates he has prioritized this relationship over our son's well-being." Attached was a photo, Owen and Lena sitting close on the park bench, his hand appearing to rest on hers, though he knew he'd never touched her that way. The image was grainy, the angle deceiving. Owen collapsed onto the sofa, phone buzzing with an incoming call from his mother-in-law. How could you do this to Victoria? She screamed before he could speak. It's all over her social media. Even good husbands lie. The room spun around him. Rushing to his computer, he pulled up Victoria's carefully curated Instagram page. There it was, a black and white selfie, Victoria's eyes downcast, caption reading, "The hardest part isn't the betrayal. It's explaining to your child why daddy has a new friend. Hash. Even good husbands lie hash. Protecting my child." Thousands of sympathetic comments flooded the post. His phone exploded with notifications from friends, colleagues, even parents of Caleb's classmates. Owen's hands shook as he dialed Victoria straight to voicemail. He tried again and again. When the doorbell rang, he found two police officers on his porch. "Mr. Mallory, we need you to come with us to retrieve personal items, then vacate the premises. There's a temporary protection order against you." "This is insane!" Owen protested. "I've never—" "Sir," the officer interrupted, "we're just here to enforce the court order. You have 15 minutes to pack essentials." In a daze, Owen gathered clothes, toiletries, and his laptop. As he was escorted from his own home, he spotted a neighbor watching from across the street, judgmental eyes tracking his every move. For the next 72 hours, Owen inhabited a twilight world of motel rooms and unanswered calls. His attorney, Marcus Devers, an old college friend, sat across from him in a small conference room, reviewing Victoria's filing. "She's playing hardball, Owen. Her legal team is requesting supervised visitation only, citing emotional manipulation and moral endangerment." Owen leaned forward, desperation in his voice. "Marcus, I never touched Lena. We talked at the park." "That's it." Marcus slid photos across the table. Surveillance images of Owen and Lena in various locations, the park, a coffee shop outside Caleb's school. "They've built a narrative," Marcus explained. "Victoria claims you've been emotionally disengaged for months, focused on this other woman." Owen stared at printouts of his messages with Lena. Innocent conversations about child rearing and her struggles, now highlighted and annotated to suggest impropriety. "I was being kind to a struggling single mother," Owen whispered. "I'm a child psychologist, for God's sake." "A former social worker. Which makes you an expert at manipulating vulnerable women, according to Victoria's statement." Owen's head snapped up. "What?" "She's claiming you used your professional expertise to forge an inappropriate bond with a vulnerable single mother. The custody evaluator will be particularly interested in that angle." Something clicked in Owen's mind. "This is too perfect," he muttered. "The timing, the narrative, the evidence collection." The first emergency custody hearing was scheduled for the following Monday. Owen hadn't seen Caleb in 5 days, the longest they'd been apart since his birth. Standing outside the King County Courthouse in a freshly pressed suit, he spotted Victoria arriving with her attorney, Diane Winters, a notorious Seattle divorce shark. Victoria looked immaculate in a conservative navy dress, eyes hidden behind designer sunglasses. She didn't acknowledge Owen as she swept past him into the courthouse. Inside, Judge Barbara Haywood presided. Owen's heart sank when he recognized her. Notorious for favoring mothers in custody disputes, Victoria's team presented their case first. "Your Honor," Diane began, "Mrs. Mallory has documented evidence of her husband's inappropriate relationship with another woman, a relationship that began while he was still living in the marital home, caring for their young son." Victoria took the stand, tears strategically welling in her eyes as she described Owen's emotional abandonment. "I tried everything to save our marriage," she testified, "but he was already emotionally invested elsewhere." Judge Haywood nodded sympathetically. When Owen's turn came, he explained the innocence of the encounters, his professional background in helping struggling parents. "Miss A. Rodriguez was in crisis," he stated firmly. "I offered support as I would to any parent in distress." The judge's expression remained skeptical. "Meister, Mallory, some of these messages appear overly personal given your professional role," Marcus objected. "Your Honor, my client's texts show no romantic content whatsoever." "Not explicitly," Victoria's attorney countered. "But the emotional dependency fostered here raises serious concerns about Mr. Mallory's judgment." By the end of the hearing, Judge Haywood granted Victoria temporary primary custody, with Owen allowed only supervised visitation twice weekly at a court-approved facility. Outside the courtroom, Owen approached Victoria. "Why are you doing this? You know there's nothing between me and Lena." Victoria's mask slipped for just a moment, revealing a cold smile. You never were particularly observant, Owen. That's why you were so easy to set up. The words hit him like a physical blow. Set up? He whispered. Victoria leaned closer. You're a liability to my future, Owen. A middle-class do-gooder with mediocre ambitions. I need someone who can match my trajectory. Before he could respond, she turned and walked away, leaving Owen frozen in the hallway as her words echoed in his mind. Set up. That night, in his sterile hotel room, Owen stared at the ceiling, Victoria's words replaying endlessly. After hours of tortured analysis, he reached for his phone and dialed a number he hadn't called in years. Ray, it's Owen Mallory. I need your help. Raymond Delgado had been Owen's client when Ray was a troubled teenager. Now he operated a small private investigation firm specializing in domestic cases. They met the following morning at a nondescript diner far from Owen's usual haunts. So, let me get this straight, Ray said, stirring his coffee. You think your wife orchestrated this whole thing? The chance meetings with this Lena woman, the evidence collection, all of it. Owen nodded grimly. Victoria mentioned a setup. She's calculated, Ray. Everything she does has purpose. Ray pulled out a small notebook. Tell me everything about this Lena. Full name, where you met, the pattern of your encounters. Owen recounted every detail, how Lena always seemed to be at the park on days Victoria specifically suggested he take Caleb there, how her personal crisis stories escalated just as he and Victoria's marriage tension increased. I need you to find out who she really is, Owen said finally, and I need to know what Victoria's been doing during these late-night meetings. Ray nodded, scribbling notes. I'll start today. In the meantime, don't contact Lena. Act normal. Follow the court orders to the letter. For the next 2 weeks, Owen went through the motions of his shattered life. He saw Caleb during supervised visits at the Family Connection Center, sterile, observed interactions that left both of them confused and unhappy. He continued his therapy practice, though several clients had already transferred to other providers after Victoria's strategic social media campaign. Then came Ray's call. Meet me. Now. The urgency in Ray's voice sent Owen racing to their designated meeting spot, an underground parking garage near Pike Place Market. Ray's expression was grim as he passed Owen a manila folder. You were right, man. This goes deeper than I expected. Inside, Owen found photographs, bank statements, and a comprehensive background report. Lena Rodriguez is actually Angela Monroe, Ray explained. Professional actress with a history of small parts in local theater. Divorced, yes, but not hurting for money. He pointed to banking records. She's received 5 payments of $2,500 each from Pinnacle Creative Solutions. A shell company created 3 months ago. Guess who's the beneficial owner? Victoria, Owen whispered, through a series of cutouts. But yes, and there's more. Ray pulled out surveillance photos. Your wife's late meetings have been with this man. Owen stared at the image of Victoria entering a downtown hotel, arm in arm with a silver-haired man he recognized immediately. That's Carlton Hayes. He's the campaign manager for Judge Richard Delacroix, who's running for the appellate court position that would oversee family court appeals, Ray finished. And Delacroix is close friends with Judge Haywood, who's handling your case. The puzzle pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. Victoria hadn't just manufactured evidence against him. She'd constructed an entire parallel reality designed to destroy him legally, financially, and reputationally. One more thing, Ray said, sliding over a final document. Victoria's PR firm has been quietly shopping her story to several women's magazines. How I caught my manipulative psychologist husband. She's positioned to make a small fortune from your destruction. Owen sat back, his world reorienting around this new truth. What are you going to do? Ray asked. Owen's eyes hardened. What Victoria never expected, fight back. But first, I need to talk to Angela Monroe. Finding Angela proved easier than expected. Ray's surveillance had identified her regular yoga studio in Capitol Hill. Owen waited in the parking lot, careful to stay out of sight of the building's cameras. When Angela emerged, water bottle in hand, he approached casually. Hello, Lena. Or should I say Angela? She froze, color draining from her face. Owen, you shouldn't be here. Why? Because Victoria wouldn't approve of her paid actress talking to her mark? Angela glanced around nervously. I don't know what you're talking about. 5 payments, $2,500 each. Owen's voice remained eerily calm. Was ruining my life worth $12,500 to you? Her composure cracked. She said that she needed evidence for the divorce. She said it was just acting to help a friend escape a bad situation. And the script? Did she tell you exactly what to say? Which books to carry? Which sob stories would appeal to a former social worker? Tears welled in Angela's eyes. It was just supposed to be a few chance meetings. Then it became texts, coffee. She kept pushing for more interactions, more evidence. Owen pulled out his phone. I want you to tell me everything. Every instruction, every payment, every detail of Victoria's plan. I can't, Angela whispered. She'll destroy me. She's already destroyed me, Owen replied, his voice cutting. And if you don't help me, I'll make sure the state bar, the custody evaluator, and every theater director in Seattle knows you participated in fraud upon the court. The parking lot security camera caught nothing, but Owen's hidden recorder captured every word of Angela's confession. Owen's temporary apartment in Bellevue became a war room. Maps, timelines, and strategy documents covered the walls. Marcus, his attorney, sat stunned as Owen laid out the evidence. This is extraordinary, Marcus said, reviewing the recording of Angela's confession. Conspiracy to commit fraud upon the court, subornation of perjury, malicious prosecution. Can we take this to the judge? Owen asked. Marcus shook his head. Not yet. Victoria's too connected. We need irrefutable evidence and a strategy that doesn't just win the case, but survives appeal. What do you suggest? We need more. Bank records confirming the payments came from Victoria. Communications between Victoria and Angela detailing the setup. And most importantly, proof of Victoria's relationship with Hayes and how it connects to your case. Owen nodded grimly. I'll get it. He reached out to another former client, Kira Nakamura, now a cybersecurity specialist. They met at a public library, speaking in hushed tones among the stacks. What you're asking borders on illegal, Kira warned, after hearing his request. I'm not asking you to hack anything, Owen clarified. Just recover deleted emails from my home computer. Emails exchanged on accounts that I, as the homeowner, had access to. Victoria used my computer frequently. Kira hesitated. And what do you expect to find? Evidence of conspiracy. Victoria was too calculated to leave a clear trail, but she's also arrogant. She wouldn't expect me to fight back like this. 2 days later, Kira handed Owen a flash drive. You were right. She used your computer to access her personal email 12 times. The browser cached several messages before they were deleted. That night, Owen pored over the recovered data. Among billing notifications and work correspondences were 3 emails that made his blood run cold. From Victoria Mallory to Angela Monroe. Subject, project parameters. Angela, attached is the detailed timeline and script for our project. Remember, this needs to appear completely organic. Target likes to visit Lakeview Park after school hours. He's a former social worker with a savior complex. Emotionally vulnerable women are his weakness. Dress casually but well put together. Struggling but dignified is the look. First meeting should be coincidental. Second should include a minor crisis with your child. Then you should establish text communication. All conversations must be photographable from a distance. Payment schedule as discussed. Final bonus upon successful court filing. V. Another email outlined the setup in greater detail. From Victoria Mallory to Carlton Hayes. Subject, Operation Custody Pivot. C. Phase 1 complete. Target has established regular contact with our actress. Surveillance team has collected initial evidence. Judge H was receptive to initial concerns raised through channels. Timeline for filing remains first week of next month. Expect significant media amplification through my firm's channels. Story will be positioned as trusted professional exploiting vulnerable women. Perfect for current news cycle. Trust fund discussion can proceed as planned once custody secured. Bye. The third email was the most damning, from Victoria Mallory to Diana Winters. Subject, strategy refinement. They say, I've retained your services officially starting next week, keeping this brief for deniability. Evidence collection proceeding as discussed. Operation fully staged and documented. Target completely unaware. Will provide shocking discovery timeline for your reference. Judge H already sympathetic through C's introduction. Expect minimal resistance to emergency orders. Trust fund terms require sole custody outcome. Non-negotiable for my purposes. V. Owen printed each message, hands shaking. The premeditation was staggering. He called Marcus immediately. We have the smoking gun, he said. But there's more at stake than just custody. Victoria's after Caleb's trust fund. Marcus whistled. The inheritance from your grandparents? That's in an irrevocable trust for Caleb's education. With Victoria as co-trustee, Owen added. If she gets sole custody, she can petition to redirect those funds for necessary child expenses. $500,000, Marcus muttered. That's a hell of a motive. And that's just the beginning, Owen said. I need a forensic accountant to look at Victoria's finances. Something's not adding up. The following week, Owen executed the next phase of his plan. He approached Angela Monroe outside her daughter's preschool. I'm not here to threaten you, he said, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. I'm here to offer immunity. Angela's eyes narrowed. What are you talking about? Victoria is going down for fraud upon the court. When she does, she'll try to blame you, the actress who played her part too well. Fear flashed across Angela's face. She promised me. She lied, just like she lied about me. Owen handed her a business card. This is my attorney. Tell him everything and he'll arrange immunity with the prosecutor's office. Prosecutor? Angela whispered. Conspiracy to commit fraud upon the court is a felony, Angela. Prison time. Unless you cooperate. She stared at the card, then back at Owen. Why would you help me after what I did? Because you were Victoria's pawn, Owen replied, and I need you to be my witness. Meanwhile, the forensic accountant delivered devastating findings. Victoria had been systematically siphoning money from their joint accounts, over $200,000 transferred to offshore holdings in the past year. Additionally, she'd secretly mortgaged their vacation property in Owen's name through fraudulent paperwork. She's been planning this for at least 18 months, Marcus concluded after reviewing the evidence. The financial fraud alone is enough for criminal charges. Not yet, Owen cautioned. We need to tie everything together, the setup with Angela, the affair with Hayes, the financial fraud, and the custody play. Their opportunity came during the scheduled custody evaluation. Dr. Lydia Chen, court-appointed psychologist, interviewed both parents separately. Victoria presented her carefully crafted narrative of Owen's emotional abandonment and inappropriate relationship with Lena Angela. When Dr. Chen interviewed Owen, he brought documented evidence of Victoria's conspiracy, but also something unexpected. I've been experiencing chest pains and arrhythmias since this began, Owen explained, providing medical records. My cardiologist has diagnosed stress-induced cardiomyopathy, literally a broken heart syndrome. Victoria's actions haven't just damaged me emotionally and professionally, they've caused physical harm. Dr. Chen's report to the court was scathing in its assessment of Victoria's actions, recommending immediate temporary custody to Owen pending further investigation into potential criminal charges against Victoria. 2 days before the scheduled custody hearing, Owen's plan accelerated. Carlton Hayes was photographed leaving Victoria's hotel room by a tabloid reporter. An anonymous tip had alerted the press to the affair. By that evening, Judge Haywood recused herself from the case, citing appearance of impropriety after Hayes's connection to her colleague, Judge Delacroix, became public knowledge. The new judge assigned to the case, Imani Washington, had a reputation for zero tolerance for procedural misconduct. When Victoria's attorney tried to delay the hearing, Judge Washington denied the motion. This court takes allegations of fraud very seriously, she stated firmly. We will proceed as scheduled. The courtroom was packed on hearing day. Local media, alerted to the sensational developments, filled the gallery. Victoria arrived looking subdued, her usual confidence noticeably dimmed. Marcus opened with a bombshell motion. Your Honor, we move to dismiss Mrs. Mallory's custody petition on grounds of fraud upon the court and counter-petition for full custody to Mr. Mallory based on Mrs. Mallory's documented conspiracy to fabricate evidence. Victoria's attorney objected vehemently, but Judge Washington allowed the motion to proceed. What followed was a systematic dismantling of Victoria's case. Marcus presented the emails, Angela Monroe's sworn affidavit detailing the elaborate setup, financial records showing Victoria's misappropriation of funds, and medical documentation of Owen's physical symptoms. Most damaging was the surveillance video showing Victoria meeting with Angela before their chance encounters at the park, coaching her on exactly how to approach Owen. When Victoria took the stand, her composure cracked under Marcus's relentless questioning. Did you hire actress Angela Monroe to pose as Lena Rodriguez for the purpose of entrapping your husband? That's not, Victoria began. Yes or no, Mrs. Mallory? It wasn't entrapment. I needed evidence. Evidence of what? Your husband's natural inclination to help someone you deliberately placed in his path? Victoria's eyes flashed with anger. He's not the saint everyone thinks he is. So you manufactured a scenario to make him appear unfaithful when he wasn't? The courtroom fell silent as Victoria's expression hardened. I did what was necessary to secure my future. Including committing fraud upon this court? Victoria glanced at her attorney, who appeared physically ill. I presented the facts as I saw them. Did those facts include your affair with Carlton Hayes, a man connected to Judge Haywood through Judge Delacroix? Victoria's face paled. That's irrelevant. Is it irrelevant that you diverted over $200,000 from joint accounts while planning this elaborate setup? That money is mine. Is it irrelevant that your primary motivation was gaining control of your son's $500,000 trust? Fund! The gallery erupted in murmurs. Judge Washington banged her gavel. Order! Victoria's attorney frantically passed her a note, which she ignored. Everything I did was to protect my son. From what, Mrs. Mallory? A loving father who committed no wrongdoing? Victoria's mask finally slipped completely. From mediocrity, she snapped. From a life constrained by Owen's pathetic middle-class morality. Caleb deserves better than community college and a Cape Cod in the suburbs. The courtroom fell silent. Even Victoria seemed shocked by her outburst. Judge Washington leaned forward. Mrs. Mallory, did you just admit to fabricating evidence against your husband to gain access to your son's trust fund for purposes other than his welfare? Victoria's attorney jumped to her feet. Your Honor, my client is under extreme stress. Sit down, counselor, Judge Washington ordered. Mrs. Mallory can answer for herself. But Victoria had nothing more to say. Her carefully constructed world had collapsed around her. Judge Washington's ruling was swift and unequivocal. She granted Owen immediate full custody of Caleb, with Victoria limited to supervised visitation once weekly. Furthermore, she removed Victoria as trustee of Caleb's trust fund and referred the matter to the prosecutor's office for potential criminal charges. This court has rarely witnessed such a calculated attempt to manipulate the legal system, Judge Washington stated. Well, Mrs. Mallory's actions demonstrate a profound disregard for this court, for truthful testimony, and most importantly, for her child's emotional well-being. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed Owen. He declined comment, focusing instead on the small hand clutching his. Caleb looked up at him, confusion and relief mingling in his expression. Are we going home now, Dad? Owen knelt down to his son's level. Yes, buddy. We're going home. As they walked to the car, Owen spotted Victoria standing alone by her attorney's car, watching them. Their eyes met briefly. No words were exchanged, but the message was clear. Owen had not just survived her betrayal, he had dismantled her entire world. 6 months later, the Seattle rain fell in sheets as Owen parked outside the imposing downtown office building that housed Parker and Ross PR consultants. Victoria's former employer had distanced themselves from her immediately after the courthouse revelations, protecting their reputation by sacrificing hers. Their attorney had contacted Owen that morning with an unusual request. Mrs. Mallory's personal effects from her office. We've held them in storage, but legally they should go to her next of kin, given the circumstances. The implication was clear. No one wanted any association with Victoria Mallory. Owen agreed to collect the items, a small box containing family photos, desk accessories, and a leather-bound planner. As he placed the box in his trunk, his phone rang. The caller ID displayed King County Corrections. Mr. Mallory, this is Officer Dawson. Your ex-wife has requested you as her only approved visitor. Owen's hand tightened on the phone. Victoria had been serving a 9-month sentence for perjury and fraud upon the court, a remarkably light sentence given the charges, but she'd made a deal, implicating Carlton Hayes and Judge Delacroix in a broader corruption scheme. Did she say why? Owen asked. No, sir, but she's been persistent. Owen hesitated, weighing his options. Tell her I'll be there tomorrow. The visitation room at King County Corrections was stark and utilitarian. Owen sat at the metal table, watching as guards escorted Victoria in. The transformation was jarring. Her designer clothes replaced by prison khaki, her carefully maintained appearance now stripped to utilitarian basics. You came, she said, sliding into the seat across from him. What do you want, Victoria? Owen kept his voice neutral. She studied him, perhaps looking for weakness or sentiment. Finding none, she sighed. I've had a lot of time to think in here. I imagine you have. The prosecutors want me to testify against Carlton about the judicial interference. Owen leaned back. And if I do, they'll reduce my sentence further. Maybe even probation instead of incarceration. She leaned forward. But I wanted to ask you something first. I'm not here to make deals, Victoria. Not a deal, a question. Her eyes, once captivating to him, now seemed hollow. Was any of it real? Us? Owen considered the question carefully. Parts of it were, but you were always playing a longer game. She nodded slowly. I never thought you'd figure it out. You were always so trusting. That wasn't stupidity, Victoria. It was choice. I chose to believe in people. And look where it got you. Owen allowed himself a small smile. Back home with my son, my practice is rebuilding. I'm dating someone who values honesty. He paused. Where did your choices get you? Victoria's facade cracked slightly. I miscalculated. No, Owen corrected. You underestimated me. There's a difference. Owen stood. Is that all you wanted? To know if our marriage was real? Victoria's eyes hardened again. I wanted to see if you gloat, if you'd become like me. I'm nothing like you, Victoria. I never will be. As he turned to leave, she called after him. Owen, I still want to see Caleb. He paused at the door. When you're out, we'll discuss supervised visitation. He deserves to know his mother despite what you did. That's surprisingly generous. Owen turned back. It isn't for you. It's for him. Outside in the parking lot, Owen sat in his car, rain drumming on the roof. His phone buzzed with a text from Melissa, the child therapist he'd been seeing for the past 2 months. Still on for dinner with Caleb tonight? He smiled, typing back a confirmation. Life was slowly rebuilding itself from the wreckage Victoria had created.